Hello, just your Rick's back for another review, and today I'm reviewing set number 70800, and it's called the Getaway Glider. Of course, this is the Lego Movie set. Now, I didn't find this one at Toys R Us, but I actually found this one at Target, so that's really cool. And it has 104 pieces, 3 minifigures, and it retails for $13 in the US. So now let's take a look at the packaging. So here's the box. I really love the box. It's extremely detailed with the background right there. And I think the design on this one for the little borders and stuff doesn't really fit that much, but still, I do like the detail on the background. And I have to say, I actually messed up this box right here. You can see opening it, because I really hate doing these little punch boxes or thumb boxes where you open it like that, because I always seem to rip it somehow. So I wish Lego would just kind of put little tape on there like they do in some other places in the world for these cheaper sets. And you can see on the top, they even have the character names, so that's really cool. And then the back just shows some of the play features and a little advertisement for the Lego Movie. And the instruction booklet is pretty short. There's not really much going on. There's not like any special ads or anything showing some new future sets that we haven't seen. But still, it's nice to see these little ads for the sets because they look very, very nice. You can see there's one for the iPhone app, I believe. So now let's take a look at the minifigures. So here's Emmet, and he still is an excellent minifigure, even though this version is not exclusive. It comes in most of the other sets, because this version, at least for the face print, comes in the Bad Copper suit, Melting Room, Lord Business's Evil Lair, and the Super Cycle Chase. And he's probably one of my favorite minifigures, or probably my favorite minifigure for 2014 sans the Lego Simpsons minifigures. And he just has excellent printing. I love his little hair piece right there because it's just adorable. And you can see that he has different face printing on his back where he's a bit more scared or worried. And of course, this little piece right here, you can see you put it on there. And it kind of fits on like that. So it is a very nice new piece, and I've heard somewhere that's a piece of resistance. So that's kind of interesting. And of course, if you want to see his back printing, you just take off this little part right here and this part. And you can see his back printing is just a continuation of his construction torso. So he is an excellent minifigure, and I really love his design. So here is an exclusive minifigure, and it's Sheriff Not-A-Robot, and wow, this dude is fantastic because he has 2 new molds that are exclusive to him, or at least at the moment. And the first one, if you can see right there, is this little mustache piece, and I'll show more of that once I take him apart. But for the top, for his hat right there on the top, you can see that it's actually a new hat mold. It looks a lot like the Lone Ranger's hat, but believe me, it's different because it has much more of a brim like that. And it has this little printing, which is a star right there. So it is very, very cool, and we only get it in black, of course, because this is the only version. But I wish maybe that they wouldn't have put the star right there, but still, it could still work with the star, and it just looks fantastic. And you can see if you take it off right there, more detail on his hat. So that's just an awesome hat mold. And you can see more of his face printing once you take off the hat. Let me take off his head. And here is a little mustache piece, which is new and exclusive to him, much like the hat. You can see right there. I believe at least I didn't get an extra in this set, which is a little bit disappointing because I was thinking that we would get an extra. But you can see it's just kind of really small, and it hooks around the neck. And it just kind of has a molded mustache, which is interesting because a lot of minifigures who have mustaches have it printed. So you just kind of put it around the neck, and then it kind of shows up on the front. So that's pretty cool, and you can see more of his facial printing, which is detailed even under his mustache. And you can see his torso is very, very nice. And even his little legs are very interesting because it just is basically a belt mold with some little stripes on the side right there. So that's kind of interesting. And here's the back of his torso. So he is an excellent minifigure, and I really do love him. Here's Deputron, and while his face isn't exclusive, it's actually used with quite a few of the other robots. His hat mold is the same as the Lone Ranger's, but it is exclusive to have it in this brown color to this minifigure. So that is actually really cool because it's nice to get variation on the Lone Ranger hat. And then you can see his torso and his legs are actually not exclusive to, I guess you could say, a robot, but it is exclusive to this minifigure. But what I'm saying is you could actually use it with some cowboys and stuff like that, or Wild West minifigures. So that's actually a plus because some of the actual, what is it called, the Lego Movie minifigure series minifigures, the robots have little robot printings to make them look a lot like a robot on their torso, so they kind of limit the use to robots. But this one is not the case, so I am really happy about that. This little gun mold is actually new. It looks a lot like the one that was used in Dino from 2012, but it is different because the mold is a lot more, like, at the end, it's kind of sloped like this, and it's a bit smaller than that. And this isn't exclusive to the set, but it's more exclusive to the Lego Movie theme at the moment. And you can see the back right here. He has some very nice back torso printing. If you take off the hat, which is a very nice hat mold. I really love the Lone Ranger hat mold. You can see more of his facial printing. So overall, he's just an excellent minifigure. Okay, so here is what comes in the set. You get this little glider, this little horse, and then this little cactus. And right off the bat, you can see that this thing won't stand up because, well, it won't stand up unless you lean it on something. And that's kind of a flaw for me because I usually display like these little parts and stuff like that in parts of sets. And I can't be able to display this unless it's leaning on something. So that's a huge kind of flaw, at least on Lego's part for me personally. But I can see why they did that because that's how it looks in the film. And it's kind of supposed to be more of a swooshable vehicle. But still, I don't really like that, and I have to say if there's one flaw about this set, it's that part, that it can't really stand up by itself. But for the little other contents, I'll take a look at the glider last. You can see there's just this little standard horse, which we have gotten in this color before. This is a new version because they basically stopped production of the old version in 2012. And of course you can make it stand up like that. And it shows Sheriff Not, a robot, kind of like standing on there, so I guess this is his horse. And he fits on there perfectly. They actually give you one of those extra parts where you could kind of fit it in there, but I didn't really like use that or anything like that because I like kind of having minifigures standing on them because they're really cool. You can see on the front right there, back, and in the back right there. And also the little cactus right here is really nothing like amazing. But I do like how it kind of has a blocky design because in this movie, a lot of the vehicles and a lot of the stuff have kind of a more blocky design, which is cool because that's kind of the style of this film. And you can see that right there. So it's not like the most accurate cactus ever, but it still is really, really cool. I like how they kind of made it a little bit different from what we usually see from cactuses, which even now we really don't see like cactuses or stuff like that. Now it's a glider. While I do love the style of the glider because it looks a lot like a Wild West glider, I'm just saying that part where it can't stand up, that's just such a huge flaw for me. If you can see, like, it just won't stand up. And even if you put the little parts down here, which is not how they tell you to do it, if you flip them over, it won't stand up either, so that doesn't even work. But still, you do get a few stickers right here where it says BA and then NK, which is supposed to be bank. Like they kind of took a bank and they built this out of there, which is really cool. And it says keep out. And that's cool that you get keep and then out right there, so you could actually use that in other sets and stuff like that, even though it is supposed to be kind of split. So that's really nice. Right up here, you get this little rooster in silver, which is actually a really cool touch. And you can kind of spin that part right there. That's really like the only kind of noticeable play feature, unless you could count like moving this like that. And you could fit Emmet right there by putting his little brick on the back and slipping him like that. So it's going to be kind of hard to fit other minifigures if they don't have anything around their neck or anything like that to attach them. And all you do for him is you kind of have to pull it back like this and then make him put his hands like that so it looks like he's holding it. So I do like the design of that part in particular because it's kind of a unique design than what we usually see from like little gliders and stuff like that. Or at least much better from, say, Nightwing's glider from that Man Bat set, which you guys know I did not like. And so yeah, there's really not much else to this little glider. You can see the back right here. Not much going on. And you actually do get these really nice, I guess you could say, cowherd pieces, which I believe were the ones from the Lone Ranger line, which was with that little skull. And you do get an extra one in there, and I really like the design of those. And they just kind of go on the top like this. Let me see, I'm going to kind of take it. I can't even take it off, but you can see it right there. So that's very nice. And this thing just kind of broke apart, if you guys see. So now let's go on to the final verdict. Overall, while the glider is just a bit lacking because I don't really like how it can't stand up by itself and there's not much like cool play features or anything like that, I still like the style of it because it looks like it's part of like a bank building or something like that. Like they took out the parts of that and made it this, which is how it's supposed to look. And you can see it says bank right there and the keep out. I really do love that style. And then the kind of, I guess you could say, Western colors on it with the brown and the kind of really light brown right there. And then this little rooster on the top kind of seals the deal. So it is very nice. And I do think that the standout of this set, though, are the minifigures. Now, the Emmet isn't exclusive, and I really do love the Emmet. I think Emmet is just an excellent minifigure, but he isn't really, this isn't like the easiest way to get him, because it's kind of tied with the melting room for being the easiest way to get him, or at least this version. I think that the other two minifigures really stand out because they are exclusive, and they look absolutely excellent. in particular, Sheriff Not a Robot has 2 molds on him that are exclusive to him, and I think that's awesome. His hat mold is this really kind of brimmed hat that's new, and it has that star printing on there, and his little mustache mold is a new piece altogether, and you just kind of put it under there. And while they kind of have a limited use, at least for the mustache part, because it kind of looks weird where somebody would have a molded piece mustache and another one will just have a printed mustache, I think it is really cool to get some new molds like that because there are some uses for it. And the printing on both of the minifigures are excellent. And then when you get onto this guy right here, I really like how he has that Lone Ranger hat in brown because it makes it look really, really cool. And for him, his torso and his legs are very usable for Western because they're not really exclusive with robot printing, which is something that's lacking for the minifigure series, I think. And so, yeah, I think this is an excellent parts pack, and the price is good. So I would rate this an A. I wish it would be like $12 or maybe $10 or something like that. But for now, it's just really an A at $13, at least in the US. So I will see you guys later with more LEGO Movie reviews. Believe me, I have a lot more coming. So that's it for now. Bye.